Hey everybody, it's Dr. Ian Stulman, and I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the updates in terms of coronavirus and what we're seeing. A few weeks ago I did a video all about flattening the curve and how the efforts for social distancing and stay-at-home orders were designed to help minimize the deaths from coronavirus. Now, the reason why that's so important is because when a virus first comes into a community and nobody has protection, it spreads very rapidly. And even if the mortality rate is relatively low, which is what we're learning more and more about with coronavirus, is if you infect a lot of people in a short period of time, it can overwhelm the healthcare system and lead to unnecessary deaths that otherwise wouldn't happen if we would have had the resources available. So if you have a lot of people getting sick in a very short period of time, that shortness overwhelms the system and ultimately increases the mortality rate. If you're able to flatten the curve by spreading those cases out over time, you still have the same number of people underneath the curve, the same number of people who get sick, but you're not overwhelming the healthcare system, that people are able to get the treatment that they need, and therefore you avoid unnecessary deaths. Now, here's the thing that I see a big problem, is that even though the conversation was never about stopping coronavirus, right? It was always about flattening the curve. It was always about spreading it out over time. A lot of people have interpreted that to mean if I can just stay at home, if I can just protect myself from getting exposed, then we can stop coronavirus in its tracks. The problem is that train has left the station. There's no stopping it. Everybody will get exposed to it at some point. It's just a matter of time. And the efforts that we've taken in the last couple weeks have been designed to spread that out. Unfortunately, a lot of people think that if they just hide from it, then soon enough there will be a vaccine or there will be a magic treatment that will help protect us. And the reality is that's just not coming. We've never been able to create a vaccine for coronavirus. And the reality is it's something that even in the best situation is going to take years before something actually comes to the market, let alone whether it'll even be successful or effective. So what we need to do is, instead of thinking that we can just hide until this goes away, we need to start being proactive and take some steps that will allow us to be better able to respond to it, right? Because remember, whenever there's an infection, there's two components. There's your exposure and your resistance. We've minimized exposure by stay-at-home orders and social distancing and wearing masks and washing our hands, but we also have to focus on increasing our resistance. And this is something you never hear about in the news. The idea that through your lifestyle, through your choices, you can positively influence the way that your innate immune system responds to this. Now, recent studies out of USC and Stanford, and even one in New York State just a couple days ago, is showing that there's a very large percentage of the people that have been exposed to coronavirus and have developed antibodies without ever developing symptoms compared to what they initially assumed. Now, what that means is that there are certain people that coronavirus doesn't cause any symptoms whatsoever. Their immune system was strong enough to be able to defend against it. And what that does in turn is it starts to minimize, it starts to lower the actual mortality rate of the disease. Now, any death is tragic, but that also means that you're not just a victim to a scary virus, that you have some sort of control over how your body responds to it, right? We know, for instance, that obesity, heart disease, high blood pressure, these are things that increase the complications of coronavirus. So what can you do at home to start being proactive about giving yourself the best response, the best protection? Well, first of all, your nutrition, how you're eating, right? Are you eating good, healthy, nourishing foods, or are you loading yourself up with processed junk and sugar and alcohol and things that gradually weaken your immune system? Are you getting physical activity and going for walks and working out, or are you just sitting on the couch binging Netflix all day? Are you getting outside and getting sun and getting vitamin D produced through that sun exposure, or taking a vitamin D supplement? Studies are finding that vitamin D levels are incredibly important to help protect you. Your low levels of vitamin D, right, decreased vitamin D, increases the likelihood of developing respiratory infections like pneumonia. It reduces lung volume. It increases the likelihood of developing acute respiratory distress syndrome and a cytokine storm, the things that are ultimately killing people with coronavirus. So if you don't go outside and get vitamin D, make sure that you're loading your body up with good vitamin D. I always recommend a D3 supplement, and the Vitamin D Society recommends 1,000 IUs per 25 pounds of body weight every day. Ideally, we want your numbers to be between 60 to 80, whereas most people are closer to like the 30 or 40 range. So consider a vitamin D supplement, and if you've had your levels tested, you can use that as an accurate kind of measurement of where you need to go. And if you haven't, maybe consider talking to your doctor about ordering a vitamin D titer and figuring out where your levels are. The other thing that you should consider is getting good rest, right? Making sure that you're getting good sleep and minimizing your stress levels through things like meditation, visualization, prayer, whatever it is that helps you stay calm, do it. Okay. The other thing is getting adjusted, right? Our patients recognize the inherent value of being adjusted to their immune system, and it's something that we still have lots of families who are coming in and getting adjusted because they know that eventually when they're exposed to coronavirus, they want their body to be at tip-top shape, well adjusted, and most efficiently able to respond to those viruses and all the viruses and bacteria that we experience every day anyway. So, I understand that you're probably scared, and I understand that you're probably hoping that there's an answer out there. The truth is that the only answer that you can rely on is your innate immune system, the thing that's always been inside you, that's always allowing you to fight and respond and interact with the world around you. So focus on increasing your resistance while decreasing your exposure, and you're going to be much stronger, much healthier, much more resilient throughout this and everything that's going to come down the future. All right, this is going to be a journey, right? The cases are going to go up and down, but what you can do is to be proactive to try to protect yourself, today, and do the same for your family. All right, good luck, thanks, and I appreciate it.